Yeah, I'm Toshihiro Handa, a chair of next few hours. Now, the sunny side of this planet comes to our area across the Pacific Ocean. The next talk is Come to the Dark Side by Darth Vader. Oh, sorry, Connie Walker. Please start your talk. Sorry, I can't hear, listen your voice, Connie.
Can you hear me now, Dr. Honda?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, please
Sometimes
go ahead.
my computer doesn't always cooperate.
Mhm.
Well, okay, I'll screen share, start with that. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Connie Walker, and I come from what is really the National Observatory for the United States. It's now under a new name called Noir Lab, and I live in Tucson, Arizona. And I hear a lot of people saying what about themselves as they start in their presentation. I'm a pretty embarrassed person. I don't like doing that very much, but I will let you know my inspirations for why I got into the field. And I have to say, the first inspiration is my family because. I'm a second generation in the United States, and it was my family who had made it possible for me to be the first person in my family to go to college, let alone get a PhD later on. So, another inspiration for me was the Apollo 8 mission. They orbited the moon many decades ago. And on Christmas Eve, they actually took this shot that you see here in the upper left hand corner of the slide. And it was not until that particular Earthrise photo that anyone had ever seen the Earth in space like that. And that is what inspired an entire generation, not just me. And the other source of inspiration for me, I have to confess, was the original series of Star Trek, although it took a couple more Star Trek series before women took a significant role on that program. Um, and then the third photo shows you where I live. Yes, I do. I live near the saguaro cacti in Tucson, Arizona, USA, where I went to graduate school and pretty much stayed there and had my family. So today I would like to talk to you about why it is important to consider protecting our night skies from light pollution, actually, and that has a lot to do with astronomy, as you know. How it is relevant to your lives, the reason that you should be protecting the night sky, and how you can easily do something about it. And by getting involved in a citizen science program called Globe at Night, you can actually help make a difference. Let me get this going. Okay. Well, I want you first to imagine that you lived next to the most beautiful green meadow filled with flowers and trees and a trickling stream, and the whole area was just teeming with wildlife. This place had been in your family for generations, and you really treasured this place. It had inspired your grandfather to become a writer, your mother to become an artist, and you to become a musician, and your daughter to become a scientist. What would you do if one day you woke up and you found that this landscape and the water were polluted? What action might you take? Now imagine that the landscape is the sky, and it is the most beautiful starry night sky that you have ever seen in your life. So many stars that you cannot tell one constellation from another, and the Milky Way arching overhead so bright that it casts a shadow of you on the ground. Scenes like that actually exist, but they are slowly disappearing. Now imagine that you live in one of these cities that you see here on this map. What kind of sky would you see at night? In this case, the polluting comes in the form of light by people for whom lighting up the night is a commonplace thing. Lighting isn't bad. But bad lighting isn't good. And the challenge is to fix the problem. Well, it becomes threefold, basically. First, you have to convince people who live in these cities that there is a problem. How do you convince them if they've never experienced a night sky full of stars so bright and the Milky Way streaking across the night sky and with a glow? How do you convince them, secondly, to care? And third, how do you convince them to care enough to actually do something about it? The night sky has been an inspiration and a wonder ever since the dawn of time, the dawn of humanity, I should say. Our collective cultural heritage of the starry night sky has inspired many artists like Van Gogh, as you see here with Starry Night, Holst in his musical composition The Planets, and Shakespeare in his sonnets about the moon. We lose a means for inspiration and imagination when we lose a starry, dark night sky. So, what other things do we lose when we can no longer view a pristinely dark night sky? Too much light at night causes a number of things. First, it causes billions of dollars to be wasted in energy consumption because you have unshielded lights typically that shine all the light upward and are all around where you don't need it, and also lights that stay on perhaps longer than they should at night. And too much light at night also causes glare in the aging eye, which creates hazards of sorts. And it also creates situations of light trespass into your bedroom window, which makes it difficult to sleep. And there's effects on human health and your circadian sensitivities, which are disrupted, causing increased risks for obesity and depression and sleep disorders, and diabetes. And too much light at night also causes a depletion in a hormone in our bodies called melatonin. And when those levels are depleted, that may have actually ties to cancer. And then the habits and habitats of animals are also negatively affected. Some of these animals are affected to the brink of extinction or survival. And some examples are like hatching sea turtles trying to get back into the ocean, or migrating birds that are confused by city lights. And bright lights at night also cause a washed out sky, as we've been discussing, and that impedes the research for astronomers. But that's only one of many things on this list. And the astronomers' ability to be able to understand our universe and our origins. So what simple actions can we take at our own home? What can we do right now? And so there's some questions you can ask yourself, and you can see the answers here on the slide. Does the outdoor light serve a clear and necessary purpose? Is the amount of light appropriate for the intended task? Are light bulbs energy efficient? Does a light fall where it is needed and not where it's not? So like using shielded lights and lights that are facing down. Is the light connected to active controls like timers, motion sensors, dimmers? And does the light source also have a warm color so that it emits, it emits at least less harmful blue light? Would you like to do more? Would you like to know more, I should say? If you would, then you can actually go to a website called the International Dark Sky Association's website, darksky.org, and they are the pundits on everything to do with light pollution. And as this picture shows, this is a great picture. You can see a bad light on the left and not so many stars, and a pretty good light on the right with a lot of stars. So as this picture shows, by lighting better, we don't necessarily waste energy, and we can direct the light to where we need it and not where we don't. And the better we do that, the better we're able to see the stars, and it's a win-win, win-win situation. So that's my intro to the rest of the talk, which is on globe at night. And globe at night, well, to bring back the stars requires thinking of the night as part of our landscape, as we talked about. A valued environment that deserves our attention and preservation efforts. And to acknowledge that something has value, it requires awareness and relevance and possibly action hopefully, action. We've talked a little bit about the relevance in terms of how it affects our lives. And we've talked a little bit about some simple ways we can actually take some action at home. So one means to actually increase awareness, if you want to use this in your classes with your students, is to actually get involved in the campaign called Globe at Night. And Globe at Night invites citizen scientists and students as citizen scientists to measure their night sky brightness and submit the measurements to a website. And they can do this from either a computer or a tabloid or a tablet or a smartphone. And that's the website there at globeatnight.org. Anyone at any age, well, we usually advise 8 years old and on up, but can be a part of the campaign. And it's typically 10 days each month when the moon is not up in the first half of the night, say. You don't necessarily want a natural light bulb in your night sky. And you can do this anywhere in the world whatsoever. And we have over 211,000 measurements from over 180 different countries in the last 14 years. And I want you to notice on the maps here, there are two maps. One is of Europe, that's the top one there. And you can see all those little colored dots. And one is the United States on the bottom. And mostly where these dots are coming from, especially in the United States, is from populated areas, namely the cities. And these dots, if you look real closely, I think I made it too tiny, but if the key on the left-hand side shows 7 different colors, and they go from a very bright color to a very dark color. The bright color maps onto a chart. You'll see the charts in just a minute. Chart 1, and that's a very, very bright sky with very few stars. And as you go down this list here, you're going to get to darker and darker skies, and you're going to see more and more stars. That's commonsensical, right? But you're seeing the fainter stars, which you would not be able to see in a very bright sky. But I wanted to brag first about 2 countries that I thought were doing remarkably well this particular year, before we get onto how you might want to take measurements. And those 2 countries, one is Australia and one is Spain. So first of all, I'd like to show you Australia. And in Australia, they did something extremely special. They rallied around one single night, which was their longest night of the year, on June 21st, just this past June 21st. And they actually got 6,700 measurements in one single night by most of the population of Australia. And that's around the coast. So you see all these dots around the coast on the east and some in the west over here. And it made it into the Guinness Book of World Records. So kudos to the Australasian Dark Sky Alliance. That's who did this. And I have to also say that I saw these 3,300 points from Spain, and I was like, wow, that's a lot. And then I went and I looked on the map at the continent, and there was nothing really there. And I said, what? And then I looked down at the Canary Islands off the coast of Africa, which is part of Spain. And there were the 3,300 points on this little itty bitty island that's 700 square kilometers big. There were the 3,300 points. Bless their hearts. And this is part of where there's a Los Muchachos on the observatory on top of a mountain that's sort of central here. And then the community is mostly based near the mountain there, and they took a lot of measurements. And so, anyways, I'm pointing that out. And the United States did well too. They actually are in second place, but you already saw that map. And what I wanted to show you here now is a little, I get embarrassed because I'm talking on this little thing. This is a video, but it tells you, it's a good short video on what you do, how you can get involved with Globe at Night.
Is there sound, Connie?
Oh, you can't hear the sound?
Yeah, when you share, you have to unshare screen, then reshare, but hit the little bottom link in the left. Actually, might as well hit share video. So unshare screen, then start share again. On the page that comes up, hit the link in the lower left-hand corner that says,
yes, sir. Thank you.
Share sound and share video.
Okay, let me try that again because I think I shared the wrong thing. Okay, so share screen, and I want actually this one. Okay,
It's an old
got it.
hillbilly trick.
Yeah, you got it. I apologize for that. Okay, let's start this from, it's almost at the beginning, so we'll
Hello,
start again.
everyone. My name is Connie Walker. I am the director of the Globe at Night Citizen Science Campaign and also an astronomer at the NANOSEF's National Optical Infrared Astronomy Research Laboratory here in the United States. In the Globe at Night project, people around the world go out at night, look up at the stars, and let us know what they see. In many areas around the globe, artificial lights on the ground shine up into the sky so that fewer and fewer stars are visible year after year. This light pollution from the ground is causing the stars to disappear. By telling us which stars in one constellation, like Orion, you can see from your location, the Globe at Night project measures light pollution around the globe year after year. By choosing which of these charts best matches your sky, you tell us how many stars are visible where you live. You can print these charts from our Globe at Night website or use our Globe at Night web app on your mobile phone instead of printing the charts. Telling us what you see in the night sky will help a lot. This is what Orion looks like for me in Tucson, Arizona, USA. If people make observations year after year, we can then measure how the number of stars people can see is changing. In 2020, we'd like to invite you, your friends, and your family to join people all around the world to take part in our major campaigns that occur in February and in March. Let's hear from some people who have taken part in the past.
Hi, my name is Eileen Grabowski, and I live in Norman, Oklahoma, where my students and I do Globe at Night to look for Orion. In town, we're a 3 or 4 on the magnitude chart. When we go out to our observing site at Washington Elementary, we're definitely a 5. And then when we go to the Okie-Tex Star Party in Kenton, Oklahoma, we're somewhere between the 6 and the 7.
Здраво, аз се викам Каролина Дамяновска, живеем в Прилеп, Северна Македония и за мен Орион изгледа вака.
Hello, my name is Kyra Xavier. I live in the small town of Waikouiti near Dunedin in the South Island of New Zealand. And for me, Orion looks like this. Oops. It looks like this.
こんばんは、越野信明です。東京ではオリオン座はこのように見えます。
Hi, Maru Ezako Barondi, Moa Itende Uganda, Manima Orion Cine Ile.
Olá, meu nome é Marcelo, eu moro em Campinas, no Brasil, e eu vejo Orion dessa forma.
Hallo, mein Name ist Sabine und ich wohne im Sternpark Biosphärenreservat Rhön und bei uns sieht man den Orion am Rande ungefähr so und mitten im Sternpark sieht man den Orion so.
Hello, my name is Charlotte. My name is Rebecca. We live in Tucson, Arizona. For us, Orion looks like this.
Okay.
Hello, everyone.
Okay, so that gives you a good idea of the overall concept of the Globe at Night campaign. It is extremely easy to do. So now what I'd like to do is let you get a little bit familiar with the charts for this month. There are 2 sets, one for the Northern Hemisphere and one for the Southern Hemisphere. And the charts you see here are 3 of the 7 charts for Cygnus, the swan, for the month of September in the Northern Hemisphere. And they show different levels of light pollution. So if you lived in New York City, you might see 3 stars if you looked up during the campaign in September, which starts on the 9th and runs for 10 days. And as you get to a little bit darker and darker skies, maybe you're going further away from the city of New York, you're going to see more and more of the fainter stars. Okay. And you'll see that this is very important here. These 3 stars that you'll see in all of these, luckily, all of these charts are these 3 stars here with make the summer triangle, Vega, Deneb, and Elcher, and you can see the swan here. It looks like a cross in the night sky. And here you go. You have the same 3 stars here, and you're going to see Cygnus falling in between these 3 stars. And as you get to darker and darker locations, like this one in chart 7 would be what you'd find in the national parks. In the southern hemisphere, you have Sagittarius the Archer. And Sagittarius is very small in this diagram, but I wanted to show you the overall area for what's in the night sky where you can find the Archer. It looks more or less like a teapot and is located right here next to Jupiter and Saturn. And if you drew a straight line between Jupiter and Alpha Centauri, down here, you will find close to Jupiter this thing that looks like a teapot. Doesn't look like anything here. In fact, in chart 1, you can't see any of the stars just yet, but you do see Jupiter. In chart 2, you're starting to see the stars. In chart 3, you see more of the teapot, basically, and it gets progressively more defined, and it's pouring out into what eventually you can see as the Milky Way galaxy. So all these charts are what is embedded in something called the web app. And when this first came out, it was very novel. In about 2010 or 12, we made this possible. And you could do it on your computer, you can use it on a tablet, you can use it on a cell phone. And if you have a smart cell phone, it is awfully cool because the first 2 steps are done automatically. You don't need to put anything in there. The first step asks you when you're making your observations, so the date and the time are going to go in here. And then in step 2, you're going to be asked where you're making your observation. And again, if you have a smartphone, it goes in step 2. But you can also just put a street corner, like the intersection of 2 streets in your city and country name, for instance. And you can put your street address if you want to, or the fact that you might be taking the measurements at the Eiffel Tower, of all places. And it'll register the latitude and longitude automatically for you. And notice that it also has a pink mode for nighttime so that you don't, so your eyes do get dark adapted. And that is actually what's going to take most of the time with these measurements, is the fact that, sorry, when I press the key it goes forward. At night, you want to take about 10 minutes at least, and maybe 15 minutes to get your eyes adjusted to the dark so that you can take an accurate measurement. The measurement itself only takes 30 seconds, that's all. But enjoy the night sky while you're waiting to take your measurement. There you go. In step 3, you're going to actually be doing the very heart of the reporting, and that is picking which chart. And you saw those 7 charts. The 7 charts are down the bottom here, and depending on which one you click, it's going to show up in the bigger picture. And you're looking not to count stars, heavens to Betsy. If you're out in a national park, you're going to be there for a few years counting stars. So no, you're looking just to pick out what faintest star that you see in your chart, and actually that night toward your constellation. So when you find that, you're going to leave it on that chart, whatever one resembles your night sky, and that's your measurement, as easy as pie. And then if you go to step 4, that is your weather conditions. And you have 4 choices, and those are represented by the 4 different maps here. One is clear, no clouds, and the one over here on the right-hand side is totally cloudy. And hopefully you're not taking data then, okay? Because that's not good data. The last thing you could do, if you have something called a sky quality meter, is you're going to put your number that you get at somewhere between 13 and 23, and 23 is a very dark sky. Most people don't get that high, maybe at most at 22. And you'll put your number there, and I'll show you what that device looks like in just a second. And after you're all done, you don't need to put that measurement in there. You don't need it at all. You just can do it with your eyes. And once it's done, you just click on what says Submit Data down here at the bottom. Very, very easy. And here is what some people have. When I used to make kits, and in the kits we put these sky quality meters. And we still have an agreement with the company that if you do Globe at Night, and you pledge to take measurements for Globe at Night, the owner of the company will give you a discount on the sky quality meters. And the company's name is Unihedron, pretty much like it sounds, UNIHEDRON. That's again UNIHEDRON.com, and you can get your sky quality meter there. Very easy to use. About the size of a matchbox, or I should say, a pack of cards. Sorry. So next I wanted to show you a little bit about what our website looks like, and to do that I'm going to have to go over here and see if I can, yep, I can do a new share. and I go to the website. Yeah, there we go. So what now we should be doing is you should be seeing the website itself. And here we have at the top of the screen, you can learn about us, learn about concepts of magnitude and light pollution. And if under Observe, you can actually go there for a second and you learn about the different steps you should take to take your measurements and then what dates the campaigns are. And you can see there's one coming up on the 9th for 10 days again. You might want to look at the resources, and that has things like our various, we have 28 different languages that we have our report page in. So you can go to have it in Thai, you can have it in French, you can have it in Spanish, you can have it in Chinese, various languages that make it easier for your students to use. And then you go further down a little bit and you actually have postcards. We have the postcards, and I'll show you that toward the end of the talk, the postcard in various languages as well. And I love looking at the ones that are in like a Thai right here. Like, there's no way I'm going to understand the symbols, but they're beautiful, absolutely gorgeous language. And then all of these that you see here, all of these are activity guides for the various constellations that we use during the year in a variety of languages. And Elenika is Greek. That's my background. So let me go back to, because I don't want to spend too much time on here. You can explore the website yourself. And I'm trying to find where the Microsoft PowerPoint is. Here we go. That might be it or might not. Yeah, well, we'll find out. Okay, so you should be back on the screen now. Does everyone see the screen? Carl, do you see the screen? Well, I guess he's not there. So
I'm here. I see the screen.
Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, so next slide here. So most people at this point ask me typically how the data can be used, and there's a variety of ways. And you can make incredible projects for your students in the classroom, and as well as science fair kind of projects too. That it's used many times. We've had people win first place for their ingenuity in using Globe at Night with a database like night owls and stuff like that. So it's been pretty cool. But a lot of people use it just to monitor change over time, to know whether there's something that should be done if things are getting worse. They do it. There's been really cool studies on population density and how it correlates with population density. And if you want to take a lighting survey, which I'll show you an example of this in just a few more slides, it's pretty darn cool because you can take that and actually go to your city council and get your laws strengthened. And then people use it to find dark sky oases. Where's the darkest place in your area, right? And then even if you have the ordinances already for lighting, they might want to test how compliant people are around your city. Or you can do studies of animals and plants and human health and safety and energy and a lot of different things you can do for different studies, especially within the classroom. So here's my pride and joy. I'm going to give you just 5 examples of just the kids, not the adults. I'll give you examples of the kids because for some reason, to me, they are the most ingenuity. They have the most ingenuity of things that I've seen. For instance, this first one, the students they were at mostly about a dozen elementary schools and a couple of middle schools, about 3,700 kids within the school district in Indiana, Michigan area. And they asked themselves how much of the night sky did they actually lose. And so they did this. They wanted to visualize their data. They visualized it with Legos, if you can believe it. So I think it was, 35,000 Lego pieces. And they built it so that each layer was one of those magnitude charts that I showed you. So the bottom layer would be a very bad sky. The top layer was a very good sky. And they had to take away about 12,000 of these to represent their actual Globe at Night map, the data that they took. So that was just ingenious. And we've had high schoolers at 2 different high schools, and you saw that first lady in the film who showed her night sky, Globe at Night sky. She got 2 different high schools to get involved and take this survey of their city, and they did it with both that SQM I showed you and with their eyes, and came up with a map. And the brightest areas, the brightest colors that you see here, like the business areas and actually the university, they went to their city council and they fought to get their laws strengthened. This is the high schoolers with the amateur astronomers. And they succeeded. It took 2 years, mind you, but they succeeded. And that was pretty impressive. And then we had some undergraduates at college nearby take data from the Arizona Game and Fish in the United States. And it was of bats that lived in this park and traveled about 25 kilometers every single night to feed in a northwestern area of Tucson, and then come back again by the morning. And they repeatedly would avoid city center. Meanwhile, these same students took 3,500 measurements using that sky quality meter, and they were evenly distributed so they could make a contour map. And the contour map is sort of like having a mountain where this white area is the peak where the city is, and then the light falls off. Oh, I did it again. Sorry. Light falls off as you go away from city center. And they were wondering whether they needed to strengthen the laws to protect these threatened and endangered species of bat. And they found out that was one of 3 things, and they didn't really need to strengthen the laws because it fell on 2 other factors as well as the light pollution. My recent pride and joy, as of just a couple of weeks ago, I was mentoring 2 young ladies who are actually Girl Scouts and twins, and they were going for their silver award. And they decided that for the silver award, they would do a light pollution website for kids, by kids, and were inspired by Globe at Night. And Globe at Night is featured in here too. And so this is a remarkable website. You've got to go find it. So it's darkskiesforkids.org. And you will not be disappointed. And you can use it in your classrooms, and I think all your students will get a kick out of it. And they're just in middle school, guys. So, and this last one I wanted to show you really is an incredible inspiration. Now, I don't know if it's Rosa Doran or someone who's associated with her is going to be talking about Dark Skies Rangers. And Dark Skies Rangers was actually a program that was started by both Rosa and myself, I don't know, more than a decade ago, okay? And Globe at Night is a part of it as well. And this is one of the most positive outcomes that came out of it, and so inspirational. It serves as an example to all of us. And let me show that to you.
Esta é a minha rua. Como podem ver, está muito mal iluminada. Os candeeiros são mesmo péssimos. Iluminam para onde não é preciso, para o céu. Senhor Presidente da Câmara, estou a pedir-lhe, troque estes candeeiros por outros, tapados em cima e dos lados, para iluminar melhor a rua, diminuir a poluição luminosa e ainda poupar dinheiro. Eu sou um Dark Sky Rangers, porque quando for grande, quero ser poeta. E os poetas precisam das estrelas brilhantes e da lua romântica para se inspirarem no seu pensamento profundo.
Okay, so if this little boy from Portugal can have convinced the city mayor to shield lights in his city, which he did, then I think we can accomplish at least as much. And then I would say perhaps we can start by participating in Globe at Night. With that in mind, I'd like to show you the postcard I was mentioning earlier, and it comes in again at least 22 different languages. And we have here on the left-hand side the dates for the remaining part of the year. And of course, we'll have dates for you in another month or 2 for the next year, so you can start planning if you would like to do Globe at Night next year with your students. So the campaign starts on the 9th, and again goes for 10 nights, and there are 3 other campaigns, as you can see. So I wanted to leave you guys with a challenge. And September is a very special month because there's something called the equinox. And during the equinox, which is on or about September 21st, you have basically equal day and equal night in terms of the number of hours. So it gives a level playing field, let's say, to all the people around the world to have the same amount of time and the same sort of, during the local hours, the same sort of level of darkness that, all around the world. And so you can actually use that to your advantage and go out and take as many observations as you possibly can for your country. So I'm asking which country can submit the most globe at night observations. And let's see who wins for the month of September. I hope you and others in your country will get involved. And as we overcome our ancient instincts telling us always to push for more light, we have to remember to simply look up and enjoy our cultural heritage, the starry night sky, and hopefully be willing to protect it. Thank you, everybody. And there I am. Done a little bit ahead of schedule, Carl. And this is how to find me. Okay.
Toshihiro, can I ask a question of Connie?
Well, absolutely, Carl.
Okay, thank you. Hey, Connie, that's so fabulous. You're my hero too.
Oh, jeez.
Hey, you know, I just had a little thought. Is it?
Should I stop sharing, Carl, do you think?
Pardon?
Should I stop sharing?
No, keep going. I'm thinking, what if, or do you have many senior citizens observing? Because I think my sense is we lose about a magnitude, some of us who are older, lose about magnitude sensitivity. And I wondered, do you account for that in your measurements?
Actually, we don't account for that, and that's a very good point. The only vast number of citizen science that are involved at a senior age are people who are basically amateur astronomers, because we find that across the world, a lot of them, it's changing now in many countries, but at least in the United States and a few other countries, a lot of them are people who are senior citizens, basically. And I'm thankful to see that changing in some countries, actually, and I hope in the United States as well in the future. But yeah, what we do is we take an aggregate of measurements. So it's not always, we don't just count one measurement per area. We take an aggregate, get the average of those measurements.
That would show up in the distribution somehow.
Yes.
Very good. It's brilliant, by the way. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think, Dr. Honda, do you want to direct me which questions might need answering?
Yeah. I misunderstand the system. So we have two questions. One is the limiting magnitude referring to our visual magnitude, and how does this related to the Botar scale? Sorry, I don't know the Botar scale. What's the mean?
Oh, I wish I could show that to you. Yeah, it's inverse of the Bortle scale. But let me answer the first part. The charts, for those who are more familiar with astronomy and how to observe, they are familiar that, the stars are based on their limiting magnitudes. I mean, a chart, you'll say, what's the faintest star in your chart? And that they call the limiting magnitude. And that maps 1-to-1 onto the charts. So the chart 1 will actually show you only stars as faint as, well, they'll show you stars until the faintness of magnitude 1. And that's a pretty bright star. And if you go to chart 7, then you're looking, the faintest star you see in chart 7 will be a limiting magnitude 7. So that's how it maps 1-on-1. But we thought, just to make it easy for the general public, we just would call them charts 1-7, but they are the limiting magnitudes, if that makes any sense. Was that the question, you think? The answer to the first part?
I think so. This question is proposed by the Kog-chan Chin.
Okay, because I don't see it on the screen here. I'm so sorry. But anyway, and then there was a second part to the question, and that was, I forgot. Could you restate the second
part? Is how does this related to the Bortle scale?
The Bortle scale. Yeah, it's sort of inverse. It's really very, very impressive. The Bortle scale, I think, let's see, if you have, for the regular limiting magnitude scale, a magnitude of 1, that is a very bad sky. But on the Bortle scale, that would be like the best situation. So it's sort of but it's not linearly inverted. It's different. But the border scale is a wonderful scale to work with, and we actually did one campaign for somebody many years ago using the Bortle scale. I could probably resurrect that, but it was a while ago.
And currently we have the other questions from the Ryan Khan, and the questioners make a question of how to add more languages in the Global at Night project.
All right, okay. So do you see on this slide it says my email address? Just tell me that you're interested. If you don't find your language on that resources page that I showed you on the Globe at Night website, then email me and let me know that you would like to either make a report page, a postcard, or an activity guide. Those are the three options, and I can give you the templates for those. And you can fill them in according to what's in English. You can fill them in your language, and I can post them online. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So this is my question about to add more languages. So you need the help for translation from English to some local languages?
Yes, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
unfortunately, we cannot know all languages on this planet. So people will help you.
Yes, they can let me know. If they're interested, they feel they need it for their region, please feel free to contact me, and we're happy to get you all set up to do Globe at Night.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm sorry to disturb your talk. So,
no, you didn't disturb it. I'm done.
Okay, please go ahead. Your presentation.
No. Oh, Dr. Honda, I'm done with my presentation.
You've done?
Yes, sir. I was asked to be done by 6:40, and I got done a couple minutes early. So yeah, I don't quite see. I see some wonderful comments. We can read some of these comments, but and let's see if there are questions.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Yes. It's okay, Toshihiro?
Yeah.
Hey, it strikes me there's a link between Alan's talk about suppression of indigenous people by industrialized nations, and also indigenous people had darker skies, and industrialized nations came in and ruined it all. That is there kind of a theme like that strikes you, Connie, or resonates?
I think it's going to become more prevalent with the satellite constellations, especially when the satellites that are being launched, as they're going up to on station mode, they're in what they call orbital arrays, but they're all bundled together and they streak across the sky like something fierce and just kind of ruin the moment, so to speak. And so, and photobomb things. And so I think in a lot of ways, I'm only being predictive because I don't really know as of yet, but I think that will, in a cultural sense, be a big interrupter of what they value. And we live very, very close to the Tohono O'odham Nation here in Tucson, Arizona, and it is because of that nation that we are allowed to have our observatory on Kitt Peak. And I feel that, I've tried to be honest with you, I've tried to bring Globe at Night to their community for several times, and you can't do that. They have to actually tell you if they want it. That's the number one thing. The number two thing is that they have a lot of other situations that they have to deal with first that are far more important, like diabetes, and they're near the border, so there's all these drug trafficking issues. So they have a lot of things to contend with that don't really, it doesn't put Globe at Night, to be honest with you, at the top of their priority list. That was a pretty detailed answer. I'm sorry.
So from me, I have a comment on your talk, Connie, and
yes,
say in my child days, say roughly a half century ago, I visited the planetarium in the central Tokyo, and the first projection is very impressive. So the lecturer show us this is night sky tonight. So we can see only planets, no stars. So in that years, Japan, especially in Tokyo, central Tokyo, is heavily air pollution, not light pollution. So
Yes.
the artificial haze completely broke out the starry light, even in the naturally clear night. So nowadays, of course, the light pollution is a severe problem instead of the air pollution. But to measure the night sky is a very strong tool to recognize what the
Absolutely.
artificial pollution is very bad thing.
Well, they
So
are.
the
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
So I think to recognize how large impact to our environment by human activity. So through the night sky measurement, that is a very strong tool to people recognize about that. I think so.
Yes, well, the air pollution and the light pollution in cities particularly are very tied together because you have large particulates, well, you have particulates basically in the sky, particles in the night sky that are because of the air pollution. And it's the scattering of the light off of those particles that give you that washed out sky look, right? Sky looks like it's washed out and you can't see the stars. So it's a combination. It really is more pronounced in cities because you have more lights and you have more air pollution. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, in any case, the people, including us, only recognize to the observations.
Yes, yes. That's the thing. When you don't have the stars out, it's hard to hold a star party.
Yeah. We watch say night sky without any stars, so it's so impressive. Oh, we are under the very bad situation.
Do you know there are programs, at least in the United States, that I know of with the Boy Scouts and with other institutions that bring children out of the cities? Well, I don't know. You can't do that much now, but when we have our vaccines and we're back to be able to do these kinds of things, if the parents can't, because parents are awfully busy and they work hard. Sometimes they cannot bring their kids out on a regular basis to the outer skirts of the city where they can see the stars. And so they do have some of these programs which have changed kids' lives because they've never seen a starry night sky. And it does change your mindset very much.
So I have several new questions, but unfortunately I have only 10 minutes. So I choose this one. The question from the Gayatri de Silva. And please suggest a good way of observing intensity of light using naked eye while observing a night sky.
Please suggest a good way of observing intensity of light using so I'm trying to imagine when Gayatri de Silva says observing intensity of the light. So are you talking about street lights, pretty much?
I cannot distinguish.
Yeah.
Maybe in your talk, you show the night sky measurement through the chart of the starry sky, 7 feet.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the watching on the sky and compare the 7 seats and which starfield seat is close to your observation. And the answer from 1 to 7, right?
Yes, yes. So, for instance, if you are in a major city like New York, you're probably only going to see chart one, right? If you are living in Tucson, in the middle of Tucson, which is not a huge city, that's my city. I live in southwestern United States. You'll see at worst maybe a chart three. So you have these many stars towards Cygnus in this case, or sometimes you see a chart four within the city. So it's either three or four. I go 16 kilometers away to where I live from the city center at the edge of town, and I see a chart five. Okay, and then if you go to the national park, you'll mostly see a chart seven. And if that's what he means, then that's the kind of gauge we have. And it works quite well. This particular set of data has been scrutinized with other data sets. For instance, there's a very famous paper by Fabio Falci, who's actually a high school teacher who's done this amazing work, recognized worldwide in making what they call a world atlas for basically night sky brightness, light pollution maps. And they're incredible. And so his database has been compared to the Globe at Night database, and it's a one-to-one match, basically. It's an amazing thing. But you have to take an aggregate of data. You can't be just a single measurement per area that you're looking at.
So the reporter is only report which chart is very close to your actual observation. Only that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you're collecting all data and compare each other and the distribution of the answers. So,
yes.
So that data, where it's most heavily light polluted or not.
I will go there. Let me go to the website for a second. I can easily do that if I can get back to the.
I believe that's the answer for the gallery.
No, it's right here. I got it. Okay, so now we're on the website and we go to the maps and data. Let me put this up here. And you can go to even this year's, well, let's go to some really cool year. Let's go to, okay, we'll go to 16. Now, the only problem with the data that goes onto Google Maps is they only show 10% of the data, unfortunately. You don't show all 21,000 data points. But I don't know if it's going to do this. Let me try. You can zoom in to your location and say we went to, now it's going to render again. So we went to Colorado, and Denver is a really good, every single year, they take tons and tons of data points. So here you go. And you can, it has to come back. Sometimes it doesn't. It takes a long time to render sometimes, sorry.
Yeah,
you'll see, you'll see that the brighter points are in the city, and as you get further away, the darker points are in the mountains. That's the mountainous area. So that's the kind of thing you get to see, and you can compare year to year how that's changing with all the data that you get. Does that answer your question?
I remember in Japan, until several years ago, the Ministry of Environment make a campaign to watch the sky and to count the stars, including the Pegasus Square.
Oh, great!
Yeah, but it's so that is very serious thing. But the Japanese government stopped it because of the fund.
Oh my goodness!
I think that's serious thing.
Oh my goodness! It's one of the easiest you can do, and it doesn't cost anything. I mean, we do have to have a programmer, but that's about it. And there's me, but.
But your chart is very straightforward. To the what impression is very close to which seed.
Right.
Which chart.
Right. No, it's very.
I think that is more easy.
We tried to make it. Let me. Oops. Go to the report page. We tried to make it as simple as possible. And you have to, when you get it, you always have to say allow location access if you have a smartphone, because it'll put this stuff in automatically. But yeah, here are the charts, and where you leave it, that's gonna be your measurement. If I wasn't clear, that's what I meant. So you're looking for the faintest star you can see, not the brightest one, but the faintest one. If it's there, whatever lowest chart you can see it in, that's the chart you leave it at. Okay, if you can see these stars, you know, we have good pattern recognition as humans. So if you can see these stars, that's what you pick. If you can't see these stars, you don't pick that one. If you can see more than those stars, then you pick something higher. So that's the way it goes. And you zero in within about 30 seconds to a minute. So it's very easy. Yeah, I know. Maybe is it too easy, Dr. Handa?
Oh, yeah.
Did we make it too easy? I don't know.
I think this way is easiest, or at least I cannot imagine a more easy way. So at present, in my idea, in our idea, this is the easiest way.
Any way we can help you, just let me know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I introduced the last, maybe this is not question, from the Sahid Shafari.
Yeah.
The Farsi Persian is an essential language that you should be working in the future.
Yes,
we
sir.
can support you in translation in this way. Here in Iran, there are many night sky photographers and amateur astronomers here who are interested in helping you. The global Night website also needs to be redesigned. Okay, this helps your user interface experience a lot. So I think this is not a question, but some proposal.
No, I think this is wonderful. Saeed, have I ever met you before? I'm wondering, but I would love to talk to you. If you would please, first of all, I want to show you that we have a bunch of, all these people here in the middle of the page are volunteers for translation. We put their names there because they've helped us. And there was, at the very beginning of Globe at Night, we had it in Farsi. And somehow we lost the translation and we lost the person doing the translation. I don't know how we did that. You know, a lot of moving parts to all of this. and so yes, it would be absolutely wonderful. And I was wondering if you know Babek Tafreshi. Everybody in Iran knows Babek Tafreshi. He's a good friend of mine, and we used to do the World at Night contest, the photo contest every year. I don't know if you know about that. That was incredible. For about 10 years we did that. Yes, please contact me, and I'm going to go back to desktop one. Here it is. And I'm going to put my address up there on the screen again for you, and so that you could make sure you copy it down. And it's cwalker@noao.edu. If you want to contact me about making those translations, I'm at that email address. Thank you.
It's easy for you to show the Japan measurements, Connie.
What's that? Oh, Japan! My goodness, I have to go back in there. But Japan has been incredible this year, and they always are usually. And there's one guy I want to recognize. His name is Nobuaki Ochi, and he really gets the fire lit under a lot of students usually to take measurements, mostly all over Tokyo. But there's been measurements all over Japan, and I really appreciate that a lot.
Yeah, so the Japan has a background to the campaign promoted by the ministry. So the Ministry of the Environment, it was. We have the good background to include your activity. So not only through him, but also for many other persons, it should be collect more and more data. Say in one of the small town near the Kagoshima city, they has a proud. Our town is most beautiful starry night in Japan. So based on that surveillance.
Is this the
map handy? Do you have the map handy, Connie, just for 5 seconds?
Oh, absolutely. I'll try to get it up here again. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, bad time management.
Oh yeah, I think
But
time's
all
running
of
out.
us need the help by all of us. So to expand the support languages, we need people, all people who can speak your own language and English.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I would appreciate all the help, and just contact me. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Take care. I'll unshare. Yes, it's strange not to be able to see people. Do you have the screen back? I think you do.